I hope you know the difference between honest doubts and dishonest doubts. In case you're like, I don't know. Here's how I would word it. Dishonest doubts don't want to do the hard work of thinking and asking questions. They just want to raise up walls. Dishonest doubts want to hide behind smoke screens. Honest doubts genuinely want answers. Honest doubts prepares itself for revelations from God. Mary's honest doubt, her question in verse 3 or 4, how will this be? Led to an amazing revelation from God. As the text goes on and says, hey, your cousin Elizabeth, she's really unable to have a child, but she's going to have a child. It means nothing is too difficult for God. Nothing is impossible with God. Her doubt prepared herself for this revelation. And I don't know about you, but how has that revelation that nothing is too difficult for God, that nothing is impossible with God, has helped you, has strengthened your faith? Oh, I wish I could have like a one-on-one conversation with each of you and I could share how it's helped me, and I could hear maybe how it's helped you. Like, let me just share two things. I remember when I worked for JCPenney, I had a fellow manager named Mike. He was an atheist. And his girlfriend was an atheist. And he didn't want to talk at all about faith. And so for a time we didn't. But then he started asking some questions, and then he got in trouble because his girlfriend said, you can't talk about faith to this Travis who one day maybe wants to be a pastor. But he stopped talking. I was like, well, this is a little odd. Well, by the time I left, I was only at JCPenney for 3 years. By the time he left, he professed to follow Jesus. He was a person, you probably have people this in your life, where you look at them and you're like, they are so against Christianity. They're so indifferent. They're angry, right? As I'm thinking about Mike, you're probably thinking about someone that has a name that God loves. And they would never follow Jesus. Oh, nothing is too difficult for God. Nothing is impossible. The other example is when I graduated from theological school, I moved to Utah, and I was a pastor of a church of 10 people, and everyone was older than 50 years old, and I was the youngest in my late 20s. And half of the people left the very first year. But over time, God slowly rebuilt this church into a healthy, growing church where there was all these kids running around. And if you were to ask me, even as I tell you this story, I'm like, how did that happen? Jesus is the hero of that story, right? Nothing is too difficult for God. Here's what I want you to know, friends, is Mary's honest doubt paved the way to the revelation that nothing is impossible with God. So when you express your honest doubts, be ready. Be on the lookout for a revelation from God.